Welcome to the deep dive. You know how sometimes you feel like you're just swimming in information, but really thirsty for actual understanding?
Yeah, totally. Information overload.
Exactly. So
Ugh.
that's what we're tackling today. How you can get real insights from, well, any pile of information, really. The goal is to get properly informed and fast.
Right. Think of it as making sense of all that complexity. Our mission here is to explore a structured way to approach information
Okay.
and really focus on spotting those key patterns, the things that unlock knowledge you can actually use. We're looking at a method that kind of gives you a roadmap for this.
A roadmap, I like that. So
Uh-huh.
it's about going from that slightly fuzzy grasp of a problem
Uh-huh.
to actually presenting clear findings. That feels like a pretty fundamental skill.
It really is. Doesn't matter if it's emails or market data.
Yeah.
So where do we kick off with making sense of it all?
Good question.
Well, it usually starts with a structured problem-solving approach. It's basically a five-step framework.
5 steps. Okay.
Yeah.
What are they?
First, you've got to properly understand the problem, really nail it down.
Right. Step 1.
Second, based on that understanding, you form a hypothesis, like your best guess at what's going on.
An educated guess.
Exactly. Third, you gather the relevant info, the data. Fourth, and this is kind of the core part, you analyze that data.
The analysis bit. Got it.
And finally,
Hmm.
step 5, you present what you found, you share the insights.
Okay, that sounds logical. Understand, guess, collect, analyze, present. But that analysis phase,
Yeah.
step 4, that can feel a bit overwhelming, right? Just staring at raw information.
Oh, absolutely. Can feel like looking into an abyss, like you
Mhm.
said. But that's where pattern recognition becomes so powerful.
Pattern recognition.
Yeah. Analysis isn't just about, running numbers. It's about actively looking for themes, for recurring things,
Uh-huh.
and then using those patterns to see if your initial idea, your hypothesis holds up, or maybe if it needs changing.
Okay. So the patterns connect the analysis back to the original problem you were trying to solve.
Precisely. That connection is crucial. It tells you if you're actually onto something.
Right. So what kinds of patterns should we be looking out for? Are there specific types?
There are. Think of them as like different types of interesting clues you might find. The source material highlights 5 intriguing ones.
5 patterns. Okay, lay them on me.
First up is the unknown result. This is when something completely unexpected happens.
Unexpected how?
Like, imagine you launch a new feature expecting it to reduce customer support calls, but it actually increases them. That's an unknown result, something you just didn't see coming.
Okay, that would definitely be a surprise. What's next?
Then there's surprising comparison. This happens when you compare two things you thought were basically the same
Mm-hmm.
and find they're really different. Or, the opposite things you expected to be different are surprisingly similar.
Can you give an example?
Sure, maybe you compare, say, 2 different marketing campaigns. You thought they'd perform about the same. But one, surprisingly, brings in way more engaged customers for the same budget. That difference is the insight.
Interesting. So, looking for unexpected differences or similarities, what's pattern number 3?
Surprising extremes. These are the real outliers. The data points way off on their own, far from the average.
Like the one thing that performs wildly differently.
Exactly. Think of that one social media post that just goes viral while everything else gets like 10 likes. That extreme result isn't just noise. It often tells you something important.
So don't just ignore the weird ones.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Which leads nicely to number 4, significant outliers. These are outliers that seem to hint at something specific, something unique going on.
Okay, how's that different from just an extreme?
It's subtle. The viral post, for instance, maybe it wasn't just extreme, but its topic or style was totally different. That specific difference makes it a significant outlier, potentially pointing to a specific reason for its success.
Gotcha. It's an outlier with a potential story behind it. And the last pattern.
Number 5 is abnormal distribution. This is about the overall shape or spread of your information.
It's the shape.
Yeah, like you might expect things to fall into a standard bell curve, right?
Yeah.
But maybe you see a huge spike at one end or 2 distinct clumps.
Yeah.
That unusual distribution, that abnormal shape, suggests there's some underlying factor skewing things, something you need to dig into.
Okay, so unknown results, surprising comparisons, surprising extremes, significant outliers, and abnormal distributions. These give us specific things to hunt for. But how do we actually, find them in the data?
Right, good question. Often, it involves manipulating the information a bit,
Hmm.
looking at it from different angles. One way is creating new lenses to view it through.
Or lenses.
Yeah, like adding new columns or perspectives to your data. You could use metadata lookup, pulling in extra related info like demographics for customer data,
Mhm.
or simple calculations like figuring out profit per item instead of just total sales, or binning, grouping things into categories like age groups or sales tiers.
Grouping things together.
Uh-huh. And also applying business-specific metrics measures that matter in your particular field, like customer lifetime value or churn rate. These new lenses can reveal patterns hidden in the raw data.
So adding context or calculations,
Mm,
basically reshaping the data to see it differently.
exactly. And just briefly, more advanced stuff like machine learning offers ways to do this too, like classification or clustering. But these simpler methods are often really powerful.
Right. So creating new lenses is one way. What's another approach?
The other main way is focusing your view. Instead of adding columns, you reduce the number of rows you're looking at to highlight the important stuff.
How do you do that?
Well, you can summarize numerical information, looking at averages, totals, minimums, maximums, get the big picture.
Okay, summarizing.
You can use grouping, similar to binning, but maybe grouping related products or customer types together to see collective behavior.
Right.
And things like pivot tables are great for this. They let you rearrange the data easily, summarizing it along different dimensions to spot relationships.
Pivot tables, yeah, those can be really useful for slicing data differently.
Definitely. And again, just mentioning it, things like machine learning or correlation analysis can also help focus the view. But summarizing, grouping, and pivoting are fundamental.
So it's about both adding new perspectives and zooming in on specific parts. Both help make those hidden patterns pop out.
That's the idea. It's not passive. It's active exploration. By having that structured approach, looking for those 5 specific patterns, and then using these manipulation techniques,
Right.
that's how you go from being swamped by information to actually understanding it and pulling out insights that matter.
Okay. So the big takeaway here seems to be use a structured method, know what kinds of patterns signal something interesting, and don't be afraid to play with your information to reveal them. That's how you get to real understanding.
Exactly. It's more about critical thinking and a good process than needing super complex tools, fundamentally.
Makes sense. So for everyone listening, as you go about your day, think about the information you encounter, emails, news articles, meeting notes, whatever.
Yeah.
Could there be an unknown result hiding in there? A surprising comparison you haven't made? Maybe an extreme or an outlier worth investigating? Start looking actively for these patterns.
You might just uncover your next big insight that way.
You really might. Thanks for diving deep with us today.